This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. The end of March is an excellent time to run a preseason safety check of all machinery and equipment on your farm. If your farm tools and equipment have been mostly stored during the winter months, there's a checklist you may want to consider to get them ready for the growing season. This morning we have Jeremy Schneider from Seidenstricker here this morning to break it down for us. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So this is the time of year when people are starting to dust off their equipment, get ready for the season. So let's go ahead and go through a checklist of what everybody should be doing when it comes to their farming equipment.
Okay, so the first thing every season, like you said, you get the equipment out. It's been a long, cold winter this winter, and the things that can go wrong, people usually say, hey, it doesn't break down if it's in the shed. Well, that's not exactly true anymore. With today's modern farm equipment, rubber and plastics are a huge part of the assembly, and unfortunately, those things, when they get cold, crack, become brittle, and break, and also, unfortunately, there's plenty of mice around, and those typically can start chewing on wires and electronics and make things very difficult. So the major thing that you should do every spring is go ahead and prepare to set aside a few extra days to get the equipment out and just test it. The number one thing is every piece of equipment should have an operator's manual, and to just follow that operator's manual as far as the things to go over and check.
All right, so like what does that include? Does that include like checking the oil, the tire pressure? I mean, is it the same as you would do with a vehicle?
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some pretty basic things. Tire pressure, oils, brakes, trying to make those minor adjustments. Also, some things that you want to look for are just like on a vehicle. Go ahead and run it, but then you want to listen for any noises that don't sound right. Also, go ahead and when the engine's not running and the machine's not in power, is go ahead and look at the belts and the hoses and things like that. Look for any leaks. It's typically really nice if you go ahead and find a nice flat level surface that's clean, to go ahead and do those tests. That way the equipment can sit there for a little while and you can look for puddles or things like that of anything leaking.
All right. Now, obviously safety is always a top priority. What is a safety list that we should keep in mind when we do these safety checks?
Right. Safety, number one, every year is just start to, like I said, the first thing is go ahead and set aside a few days. I grew up farming. I know what it's like. As soon as it becomes nice, just like everybody wants to get outside, farmers want to start planting and putting things in the ground. And the number one thing I think that can lead to safety problems is being in a rush and being in a hurry. So like I said, set aside a few days, and then when you're looking at your equipment, keep in mind things like don't check for leaks while the equipment's running. Hydraulic lines are always under pressure when the equipment's running. So if you're running your hand down a hose thinking you're going to find the leak just dripping, there's a chance for that high pressure to inject oil into your skin and system.
Wow.
So, and those are pretty nasty injuries.
Right.
The other thing is just safety shields and guards. It's real easy for everybody to put the equipment away last fall and go, you know what, over the winter I'm going to make sure and put that guard back on or get that fixed and things like that. Nobody wants to go out when it's minus 10 all winter long, it felt like. So just go ahead and set some time aside to go ahead and look over all those safety items and guards and things like that.
All right. So now let's talk about your service department. What do they offer? So if anybody has any questions or something broken down, can they go ahead and call you guys for help?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're starting to get some of those calls right now, you know, especially people with lawnmowers that are thinking ahead a little bit. They're getting things out saying, hey, this didn't run. A lot of the problems that we're seeing right now are just fuel systems. When fuel sits for the amount of time it has over the winter now, it does tend to get kind of it breaks down and doesn't run as well. So yeah, we're open, you know, and we're ready to take care of all those things that people are seeing as they get their equipment out.
Fantastic. So what we'll do is we'll post all this information with Seidenstricker on our website at heartlandconnection.com, and we'll also post the safety checklist that we just went over in detail. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for coming on.
All right, no problem.
And we'll be right back.